Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm just so glad that you have taken time to come join me. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Wednesday. It's not only hump day, but for me, I'm really excited. Today's a big day for me. Today's edition of Wednesday with Weezy is my new premiere of my show called The Shit I Used to Do. Well, what does that mean to everybody? Well, maybe not a whole lot, but it sounds funny. But there's a deep, deep meaning behind the name of the show. And it, so it's like some of us might be thinking, oh, yeah, the shit I used to do when I was young and all of that stuff. But yeah, we're not going there. Not today, maybe some other time. But today, I want to share with you about the shit I used to do before I did what I do now. And that is what the whole premise of the show is. First, I'm going to tell you about how I came up with the concept. Where did I come up with this title of The Shit I Used to Do? Well, you see, my husband and I on Saturdays very often, for several years now, we go out on a Saturday afternoon. Yes, we're older. We go out for our little afternoon dates and we go to breweries. My husband adores craft beers. And so we do that and we go and explore other little towns where these breweries are located. So sometimes we're here locally, but sometimes we'll take day trips and go visit these little breweries. So one day late this summer, we were walking down a main street and there was like cute little antique stores. Like so many of these towns, they have cute little antique stores or painting studios, cute, nice little restaurants and everything. It's just fabulous seeing how a lot of these little towns or parts of the city are being rebirthed to these boutique type businesses. And it's just fabulous. Hey, Joe, I'm looking. I have a guest. I have somebody watching. Joe, thank you for coming and joining. Make sure you take the poll that I have on here. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But anyway, I'm going to finish my story first, and then I'm going to go on and talk some more about the poll, and then I'll get into today's show. So as we were walking down the street, there was an antique shop, and they had some cute stuff in there, and there was hand painted items. And then we went past a painting studio, and these girls were out there with their stenciled pillows that they had stenciled and personalized, or wood pieces. Well, I said to my husband, I go, I really miss painting. I really miss doing those things that I used to do. And then I laughed and I go, that shit I used to do. Well, in today's show, you're going to hear about that shit I used to do. And we'll get to all of that in just a few minutes. But back to, we went in and we had ordered beers and everything. And the more I thought about it is how I devised the show of The Shit I Used to Do. So the premise of the show is this week you're going to see just me. But I want to highlight other entrepreneurs, business owners, or people who have in some way, somehow, have gone through life and they either hit a wall or they got sick of something or something happened in their life that they had to reevaluate life and do something else and totally reinvent themselves. So that is the premise of the show of The Shit I Used to Do. The past, the middle, and what you're doing now, and what drove you to do what you're doing now. So that is the premise of the show. And I do have a poll on here that I would love for you to take. Um, Asking just very simple questions. All you have to do is commit a yes or a no. It's not a big deal. And then stay tuned to the end of the show because I have a big question to ask of you, and I have favors to ask you, the viewers, to help me out in the future. Moving forward, this show, well, I'm going to try, because we never know what's going to hit us or if the internet is going to stay up and be able to let us come live doing our shows on Facebook Live. But the third Wednesday of each month will be this show, the show I used to do. So anyways, without further ado, I'm not going to hold you up or anything. I'm going to launch into my story. Well, if you are just joining me for the first time and you really don't know much about me, my name is Louise Summy. I am the owner of Ellie Video Productions. With that being said, I don't shoot and I don't edit. I am a producer. I help people do video. But that's part of the story. The rest of it, you're going to have to hear it later on in the story, and I'll go into it a little bit more because I don't want to have to talk. You don't want to hear it over and over again. So it's part of the story, and you'll learn more about what I do. So I'm not going to go to the way, way back machine, but I'll go back to early motherhood. I've always been artistic, but I didn't know what I had in me because my family was very craftsy. They sewed and everything, and it just didn't strike a chord with me. And so I would watch them, but a lot of times they would get caught into these big projects, and I would help either watch my sister's kids, or I clean house, or cook meals, whatever, while they were doing their projects. My family is huge. Many of them are huge into quilting, and some of them were into sewing and things. And so, it took a lot of time and energy. And so I would help in the background, but I didn't really want any parts of it. Sewing is not my bag. But I found out later in life, I would always watch people do art. I would watch them paint, and I would just go, oh, I wish I could do that. Well, as raising my young boys, first I started off with little figurines, and I really enjoyed painting these figurines. But then a neighbor moved in, and both of our kids were in school all day long, and she told me how she painted, and she could bring pictures to life on wood with just a paintbrush. And she showed me the tips and the tricks of how to do decorative painting. And so I learned how to paint items on wooden things. At first, I started off with I'd go to Michael's and I'd buy these little wooden cheese boxes or whatever, and I'd stain them up. And then I would paint designs on the covers of them. And then I went to plaques. Well, then as the years went on, this hobby became more of a business, and I started painting on people's furniture. Then I graduated to furniture, and I started painting on furniture. It was very popular at the time. And then, so this was all in, it was in the mid-90s that I started doing all of this stuff, because my younger son was born in 91, and at that time I would do figurines. So he was in kindergarten or first grade, anyway, memory, when I started doing all of this other painting. But the long story short was, as the years went on, it was a good way for me to make supplemental income. So it was like a hobby business, and I just made a little bit of money to be able to help out with the family of buying some extras, maybe paying some fees for extracurricular activities that my kids were involved in. Sometimes I'd save for vacation, buy extra clothes, different things like that. But, it wasn't a huge business. But then when we had to move here to Charlotte, the style in which I painted in wasn't as popular on the furniture and stuff. and I wanted to expand bigger. And when I say expand bigger, I went from pieces of furniture to walls. So I started painting faux finishes and murals and different things in people's homes. And I know what it was like for me and my budget. So I wanted to keep it budget friendly. So I wasn't charging an arm and a leg. I way underestimated my projects, but I would sit on people's floors and paint things that you might find under the sea, or I would paint some people, it was like sports logos. We paint their favorite sports logos on their walls, tapestries, beach scenes, something to put on a wall so you could enjoy it and maybe get away. One of my projects was at a nursing home, and in the not the locker room, the break room of this nursing home, I painted a beach scene, and I put a single Adirondack chair on the beach looking out towards the ocean, where there was a boat on the horizon and the sun was setting. And the funny thing was, as people would come in and take their break, and they would say what they were doing, thinking, and drinking if they were sitting in that chair. So it worked. It took them away for a little bit from the grind of their work. Well, so I did that up until 2007. Well, 2007 is really a pivotal year for many people. Mine was pivotal on two fronts. First, my kids were entering the teenage years, and I'm going to be honest, they were giving me fits. And I was tired of being alone, because painting in people's houses, painting these murals, or I would replicate wallpaper for some people, but I started to shift into, it wasn't bringing me joy anymore. And I was so upset with things going on that I would find myself sometimes weeping while I'm painting. And so it was a tough time. Then the economy started to tank. And I had already thought about, I really need to find something where I'm around more people, because I'm alone too much. I have too much time to think. And so I was already thinking about folding the company. And then 2007 happened. Well, the price point of my clients, guess what? That's when the economic downturn happened. And a lot of my clients, well, not only could they not afford my services, they couldn't even afford their own homes. And these people were losing their jobs, and they were losing their homes. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to fight this economy. I think this is a sign. It's time to hang up the paintbrushes for a while. I did move into some other, and during this time I was also doing some other things, but still the struggle trying to sell handcrafted things and get a favorable price point when you have Michael's and Hobby Lobbies and some of these other big box stores selling the exact same things that you're making, and you're asking $5 to $10 for a card that took you 3 hours to create, and you're buying all these supplies and embellishing them and everything like that. The market just wasn't there, and I just got really discouraged. So I let it go. So one night, my husband and I were out on the deck, and we were drinking, and I had been feeling really sorry for myself. And to be really honest, my kids were kind of being shits. But they were nervous. They were nervous in their stages of life, what they were going to do, and did they have what to take, and did they have what to sustain in school. And I looked at my husband, and we're sitting there, and he's on one side of the table and I'm on the other side, and we're sitting there drinking wine. So I'm drinking wine and I'm whining to him, going, well, I know how they feel. My self-confidence isn't that great, and I didn't finish college or anything like that, and it's always made me feel bad about myself. And he said the most profound statement to me and set me back in my chair. He had the audacity to say, Do something about it. Change it. And I went, what? He goes, if you want to go back to school, go back to school. Grab a catalog, look at it. Well, it just happened to be that Craigslist at this time was big for like jobs boards and stuff like that. So I had been working with my son and we had been carousing Craigslist looking for different jobs for him because these young kids were having a hard time too getting jobs because now the older population needed to fill in these retail box stores where the young kids used to flourish and fill in. No longer were those jobs available. And you had to be 18 in order to get a job. So it was just getting tougher and tougher. So they were in the restaurant industry, but it wasn't where they really wanted to be. And so, we would always be scouring job boards. And I started seeing a lot of things for graphic design. I go, well, it would be a way for me to still stay connected to art. But instead of beating up my body and being alone, maybe I'll give a try to graphic design. Well, I was really scared because I wasn't really computer savvy at all. And definitely it's like, I'm in my mid 40s and I'm looking at going back to school. What are we talking about here? So I went back. So that week, I marched myself down to the local community college. I picked up a catalog. I took an entrance exam. I bombed out in math. Not a surprise at all. In fact, I didn't even really try on the math test because I'm going, I don't understand this. But I found out something about myself. I had always been good in the English and I still kept my English skills. And this score may not be setting anybody else's fancy on fire, but being out of a learning environment for over a lot of years, 25 years, I believe at that time, I scored like an 87 on my English exam. And I'm going, well, dang, I do know something. Because really at this time I had like zero confidence. What would I do? Who would want me? Who would hire me? And so I went back to school. And so when I got there, I hadn't thought about something for a very long time. I always had been intrigued with the video world, with entertainment. I loved entertainment. And while I'm doing all this artsy crafty stuff, I'm watching Martha Stewart come on and create great things and different things on HGTV. And I could recreate those. And I would sit there and think, oh my gosh, if I could just be in that environment and be part of that team creating these beautiful crafts and going out and shopping for the supplies. I just loved it all. And I'm like going, this, who knows? This might be something. So one year I went to school for graphic design. The next year I stayed and I signed up for the video production program. And I really flourished in the environment. And I really found out, that people liked working with me and that I was really good at putting the pieces of the puzzles together to bring together the creativity that it took to do these projects. So in 2010, I graduated. I did graduate with a leadership award from the department in which the video production part was from. And so I stood there with, it was like an engineering type department or whatever. So I was there with car mechanics and people who were learning how to do AutoCAD and all these different things. And I was recognized as a person of leadership among those peers. It's a little personal. But anyways, that is how I started into my video production life. And at that time, I had a great love for, I wanted to do movies. And so I started out with independent film. And I found out very quickly there was no money in it. And people, to to work with the right people. You can't just put anybody together. But during that time, I have produced several short films. I have worked on several short films. And then I have worked on several, so then it progressed into show concepts for the internet. And I do have shows out there on the internet that I started early on. And early on, I partnered up with somebody. And once again, I jumped into it way too fast without really thinking about it, really getting to know the person. And it ended up being like the mistake marriage, when you just do something in haste and you just jump in and do it. And so in the early years, I did that a lot. And just, it's like, oh, that sounds fun and exciting. Let's try that. Oh, that sounds, and I was just going down all these rabbit holes. And unfortunately, I put myself into a partnership, and it lasted about a year and a half. We just had different styles. We had different thoughts. We wanted to do different style projects. I really loved the shows and putting together the shows and inviting guests and going on location and all of that. And he wanted to go to the wedding venue because he knew that was a quick and easy way to make money. And I was more the creative, lofty one. And he needed to make money. And luckily, I'm married to a man who provides for me well. In fact, I call him my sugar daddy. But I love him. But anyway, moving on, I was in that partnership for a while, and I met a screenwriter. And so it came back to where I could go back into the independent film arena a little bit more. And so I took it, and I went to him and I just said, you need whatever money that you're making, you need to make, and we don't need to be splitting this any longer. I think it's best we separate our ways. And so we did. And that was in 2012. So that is when Ellie Video Productions came into business. And that's what my arm is doing. Ellie is here visiting me off to my side here while I'm telling my story. But anyway, we went into shows and some short films. There's Ellie. Say hi, Ellie. Show everybody how cute you are. Look up here. Look up here. She's going to be shy. But anyway, and then I found out, that there wasn't a lot of money. And my husband's going, you're spending a lot of time. You're wearing yourself out. Which, if you knew me at that time, that was so my MO, get so involved and wear myself out, that's when I started doing what I'm doing now. And that's the marketing video side of things. And I help people build their brands through video. And which also brings me back to the live section of this is I also help people. The DIY is becoming so prevalent that things are getting so much easier for people to produce and stuff on their own now, that if they don't need it really super polished, they're not or have a big budget or something like that, I show people how they can go through and strategize and plan for their videos for professional or coming on live, doing or educational webinars, different styles of videos like that. And so that is the shit I used to do that has brought me up to present day of Ellie Video Productions. And out of Ellie Video Productions is birthing Weezy Media Productions Incorporated, because there's a bigger umbrella, and I have lots of ideas of things that I'm implementing, not just this year, but I'm slowly starting to make implementations to broaden the umbrella of my production business and my services. So that, which leads me to Wednesday with Weezy. And that is how Wednesday with Weezy, because I want to help you grow with your video presence and give you ideas, tell you what's kind of new on the horizon, different changes that are happening in social media. and that really that video is so hot, you need to have it onto your social media pretty much any way you can get it right now. And so I help you take and make it even better. So anyway, that's my story, and I hope I didn't bore you too much with it. Um, I have met wonderful people through my journey. I have made fabulous friends that have supported me. And so you may ask, where did Weezy come from? Well, I'm going to end this with telling you about Weezy. Weezy came from when I was little. My friends, my family would always call me Wheeze or Weezy. People would call me Weezy. And it was okay because it's a nickname of Louise. In my middle years, some rhymes came along with the name, and they were rather derogatory, and I caused me to feel a lot of shame. And I was already a shy and insecure girl that it just added to it. And I hated the name and I walked away from it. But coming back to video, Weezy has been reborn. And the people who know me and love me, slowly friends started calling me Wheeze or Weezy. My family came back to starting to call me Wheeze or Weezy. And so now I say, I am Weezy. To know me, to know me is to love me, and people who know me and love me call me Weezy. And I have a lot of people out there calling me that these days, and it just warms my heart. So sorry, get a little emotional, and Ellie is down there sounding the beagle alarm about something. But anyway, that is my story. And if you would like to know more, I have the poll on there. Oh, I have a favor to ask of you guys. Guess what? Moving forward with Wednesdays with Weezy and the show I used to do, I want to bring guests on to this show. So I am currently looking for guests to come in. Sorry, I gotta shut this door. And I'm sorry, there's a ruckus going on outside my door. But anyways, I'm looking for guests. So if you would like to be a guest, raise your little hand. Give me a little hand over here. Or say guest in the comments section, and let me know that you would like to be a guest on my show and tell your story. And it will be interview style, so it's not like you have to sit here and talk all by yourself. I will guide you through the questions. And then who wants to be a guest? And if you want to learn more about doing your own live shows, put info into the comment section and I can set you up. This month only, right now, I'm running a $100 discount off my services for coaching. So a 3-hour package normally costs $397. This month it is till the end of this month, it's $297. So if you would like more information on that, just write info into the comments, and I would love it. Hey, Olja, you got to see Ellie. She said hi, Ellie. She doesn't say hi to me. She doesn't say hi, Weezy. She says hi, Ellie. She says hi to the dog. And then, but from here on out, right now, Wednesdays with Weezy, I'm going to come to you 2 times a month. The first Wednesday of each month and the third Wednesday of each month. So with that being said, the next time I come live, the first Wednesday of February, I'm going to be on location because I need to go travel out of state. Sorry for the interruption. I have to travel out of state this Saturday for a couple weeks to go out to Washington to help my son and his daughter or his wife handle the kids because there's been some things and they just need they need an extra hand out there. So I'm going out there to help out for a couple weeks. So I'm hoping if the internet will support me out there, I'll be able to come live February 6th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll have to make sure I catch the time change too for out there. But anyways, that is all I have to say. If you're watching, please fill out the comment section or the poll. Fill out my poll because I'd really like to know how many people were impacted by 2007 and how many people have had to reinvent themselves or something different in their lives and gone through a journey. Because I think if we help each other, it's going to help all of us out here in the business community know that we're not alone, and not even the business community. And that's the biggest precept of this show, is to let people know that, guess what? You didn't go through it alone. There were other people out there going through it too. So until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye.